Hello friends, my name's Hannah and welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing a Warner Brothers Studio tour. So this is the Warner Brothers Studio tour, the making of Harry Potter in Watford, which is near London, and we visited specifically for the Mandrakes and Magical Creatures exhibition, so let's go have a look. So the first thing that we did was go for an afternoon tea, and if you want to see that full video then I will leave a link above, or you can just check out my channel. So I'm just going to show a few clips, but make sure you check out the full video for that because it was a really good experience. After our afternoon tea, we went straight into the tour and started with the Great Hall, which is my favourite part of the tour, and I always wish that we could spend more in here than we're actually allowed to because you are ushered through quite quickly. It is just so cool, and at the moment, well, for this exhibition, it was decked out with the Frog Choir from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is one of my, well, it is my favourite film, and that is one of my favourite scenes in that film, so it was so cool to see. I love the little frog. Apparently it's really heavy to pick up, but it looked like weirdly lifelike, even though it's obviously not real, and it was really fun. Then we went into the main tour and started out by seeing some costumes. My favourite is Luna's, and I would love to recreate her like knitted looped jumper. I just think that looks so cool. And then you go into the common room areas. So I was mostly focusing on magical creatures things for this trip, and also I got really preoccupied by looking at all the tiny little details, so there's a lot of zooming in this video, I won't lie to you. And in the Gryffindor common room we see Neville with his Mimbulus Mimbletonia from Order of the Phoenix, and I thought that was so cool because that's such an iconic scene and it's very, very fun. And then in Dumbledore's office, there was Fawkes the Phoenix, which is amazing. And the first Dumbledore, Richard Griffiths, actually thought it was a real bird, and it's so easy to see why. It looks really lifelike, and I can imagine if it was moving like an animatronic, it would look even more so. So then around the other side, there is this really iconic scene from Chamber of Secrets where Neville is picked up by his ears with that "why is it always me" scene. And I actually noticed, well, my boyfriend noticed and pointed out to me, on the desk there's like the quiz that Lockhart does and all the books, and you know, the details are, there's always so many details at the Warner Brothers Studio Tour. They really do not miss anything. But I loved seeing Neville held up by his ears by the pixies, and also Lockhart's costume was really cool because I don't think I've ever seen that before. There wasn't too much else around this part apart from this hand puppet, which, you know, looking at it now is so obvious to see it's a hand puppet, and even looking at it, I think this was in Prisoner of Azkaban as well, it's still obvious to see it was a hand puppet, but it's still really cool to look at. We saw Hagrid's hat, Lupin's case, which, you know, he's kind of a magical creature because he's a werewolf, so I feel okay including it. We saw the burrow, which is always a very cool experience. They have these little like sensors which you can touch and it makes it look like you're doing magic. There was also this Norbert photo op from the Philosopher's Stone, which is forced perspective, so it's how they filmed a lot of the scenes to show you know, Dan, Emma and Rupert being a lot smaller than Robbie Coltrane, who was Hagrid, and obviously they're not that much smaller, but this forced perspective makes it look a lot smaller. And my boyfriend did not smile when I asked, which is nice. But the forced perspective photo opportunity is really cool. It's always there, but they've just added Norbert for the special exhibition. In this area there was also a troll, and there was nothing else magical creatures-esque, but we did have a look around the ministry, which is always very cool. And I was looking, like I said, at all these little details, and this vacuum cleaner was like blowing up. I'd never managed to catch it on video because it happened very, very quickly, but it was like blowing up air and then deflating, and I think that's from Fantastic Beasts. But that was very fun to see as well. I definitely have enjoyed looking at all the little details from this trip, and then also looking at them as I've been editing this video. Then we headed into the Forbidden Forest, and I noticed this Patronus, which I don't know if that's new or if I've just never noticed it before. It was really cool. I don't know if it was a wall projection or from the back, sort of shining inwards, but that was really, really fun to see. And my favourite part of the Forbidden Forest is the Patronus, which is how they filmed the Patronus from Prisoner of Azkaban. They just put lights on a dog, and I think that's hilarious. Then onto platform 9 3/4. So the Christmas shop was closed, which was a bit unfortunate, but we headed straight onto platform 9 3/4, and they had Harry and Hedwig from the first film, the first time he ever goes on the train. It was so cute. I love Hedwig and love that they included this. The train was really cool. There was nothing else magical creatures-y in there, but we still walked through, and yeah, it's always a really fun experience to go and have a look at the stuff in the train, because, you know, so much happens on the Hogwarts Express, but also relatively little happens in terms of like time. But it's always so fun to board the train. There are some props between the platform 9 3/4 and the back lot, so we had a look at those little details. I love these books by Hermione Granger. I do wonder if Emma wrote these herself. Probably not, but I would think that would be really cool. And even though we'd had an afternoon tea, we had to get a butterbeer, obviously, and we also got some chips, and I got a vegetarian hot dog, and I think my boyfriend got a meat one. I'm not entirely sure. These are just the kids' portions, but they're pretty big, so I would definitely recommend them. Then there was the backlot, which is what I was most excited for this trip. So we had the burrow, which I've never seen before. I don't know what scale it is. I want to say 1/74th, but I'm not entirely sure. But it is a small scale burrow, and it was just amazing. I really want them to build like a life-size one. I know that would be a huge undertaking, but it would be so fun. Privet Drive is also new since I last went, so you can go in now, and they have the explosion of letters from the Philosopher's Stone, and then they also have the Prisoner of Azkaban scene with Aunt Marge blowing up and like flowing off into the night, and that was very fun as well because I've not seen that, and again, it's my favourite film. Honestly, I've seen it so many times. I loved, again, the little details that they did. So they actually had like their finished dinner plates set out, because obviously this was when Harry was like clearing up and they were getting ready for pudding, and that's when he got really angry because Aunt Marge was being, you know, Aunt Marge. But the little details were just so cool. And pro tip, go around the back when you come out of the Privet Drive. Don't just go straight off to the right, go off to the left, and you can look at the greenhouse through, their conservatory through the back and actually see like the back of the scene. So that's how I saw the back of it. Then the bit I was the most excited for, the greenhouses, and I've actually put a little bit of sound on here so you can hear the screaming of the Mandrakes. The Mandrakes were really fun, and I love being able to like lift one up. And we spoke to one of the ladies who was there. I don't know what they're called, if they're like cast members like at Disney or something, but one of the employees who was there, and she said she'd actually turned it down because the screaming was so annoying. And we were like, yeah, we completely get that. But it was really fun to pull up a mandrake, and I don't know what is permanent about this, because I know the greenhouses are still permanent, but I don't know, I don't think the mandrakes are still, but it was really fun. we had a look at the fountain, which is from that Prisoner of Azkaban scene where the executioner is being really shady and slightly creepy around 13-year-olds, but there we go. You know, Dumbledore's done a lot of shady things, and letting an executioner just casually sit in the Hogwarts grounds with a massive axe is definitely one of them. And then the bridge, which is always one of my favourite parts because I love the green men that they put in here. I love that that's a detail that, like, I don't think I've ever noticed it in the films. I maybe have to watch some of the scenes back to see if I can see it, but the detail, again, is just so astonishing. Then we went into the creature area, and there were a few magical creatures bits in here. So we had a whole Mandrake section with some more Mandrakes, and also Mandrakes in various stages of like production, so you could see how they were made. There was also Luna with this thestral, and I've taken a few pictures of her crocheted cardigan because I would love to recreate it. But this is one of my favourite scenes. I love the thestrals. They're one of my favourite creatures, so this was such a cool scene to see. And then there was Harry with the Sword of Gryffindor and the Basilisk. So the Basilisk is always there, but they added in Chamber of Secrets Harry and the Sword of Gryffindor, which I thought was a really nice addition. I do understand why it's not there all the time, but I think for this exhibition it was a really good addition. Gringotts was next, and there was nothing magical creatures here aside from, I suppose, like the goblins themselves, because they are technically magical creatures. We did have a look at the vault, and I managed to catch it on video. The video goes a little bit funny when I'm sort of filming inside the vault. I think that was just due to the lights that they had, and my camera did not like it, but going through the back part of Gringotts is really fun too. After Gringotts, you are spilled out into Diagon Alley, and the really cool part here was that they had how they trained the owls. So they had all of like the props that the owls originally used, including a letter that was like nibbled by the owls because they just bit them, and I think that was really fun. It was really interesting to see how all the animals were trained in order to be in the films. And they also had a part for the Magical Menagerie, which shows how they sort of made like the fake owls and animals that went into this shop for the Diagon Alley scenes. Then is another of my favourite parts. I mean, this whole tour is my favourite, let's be real. But another of my favourite parts is the miniatures area. So this is how they make like paper miniatures in order to see what sets they need to build, what scale they need to build, what they need to add in, etc, etc. I really love seeing like the desks, which is set up as if like the producers or directors have just got up and left to get a cup of coffee or something. And I love it so much. It just looks so real, like you could just step into it. But my favourite miniature, I think, is the ship, because it looks so detailed. It's not just made out of card, they obviously made a more detailed one, and it just looks amazing. And finally, the part that you always wait for, the Hogwarts castle. I could honestly just sit and, you know, just stare at this model for so long. The music is lovely. I really wish I could play it, but I think I might get copyrighted. So that's why there's no music from the tour in this one. But I really wanted to focus on the greenhouses this time, because obviously we'd just been in one of the greenhouses in the back lot, and I'd sort of seen them obviously before but never really properly looked at them. And I was also again looking at these details, and my boyfriend noticed this like flickering light, just like one light switched on, looking like someone was, I don't know, like studying late at night or something. And just those tiny details are so fun. And then there was also a miniature of the greenhouse in this area, and there was an employee there who was talking about like how they got these shots. So there was like a camera that you could put into it and then see on the screen like what sort of blocking you need to do, so like how you needed to set it up, what props you need to make bigger, and what could be just background props. So it was really fascinating to learn a little bit more about how these films were put together. Then we did go into the shop, but I didn't film very much because it was so busy. But that was the Warner Bros. Studio Tour Mandrakes and Magical Creatures exhibition. So much fun. I was desperate to go to this exhibition, and we actually went the day before it closed. So I was so excited that we actually got to go, because I was, absolutely desperate to go. Magical creatures are my favourite part of the magical world. So yeah, I was really desperate to go. But if you're interested, I've also got a haul video coming for what I bought, and I bought a magical creature to remember this trip by, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for watching / listening to me ramble, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications if you enjoyed it. Like this video if you enjoyed it as well, because it really helps me out, and I will see you soon for a new magical video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!